Let me ask you something. Have you ever played a game so much you can't even count the hours anymore? Did you ever wonder what makes a game like that so addictive and replayable? And no, I'm not just talking about throwing in a new level or a harder mode. I'm talking about the kind of replayability that hooks you in and keeps you coming back for more. The kind that makes you easily spend hours and days of your time. In this video, we are going to talk about what makes a game replayable. We will dive into examples from iconic games and analyze their game mechanics. Whether you're a game designer looking for inspiration, or a gamer trying to understand why you just can't put down that controller, this video will give you the information you need. So, sit back, relax, and let's explore the secret ingredients behind these games. Okay, so what exactly makes a game replayable? Is it just about having more content, new game modes, or perhaps extra difficulty settings? Sure, those help, but there's so much more factors to replayability than just slapping in some extra content. It's about giving players a reason to replay, to explore new strategies, and to experience the game in different ways. First up, let's talk about playstyle variety. One of the main reasons people replay a game is to try out different ways of playing. Take a game like The Witcher 3 for example. Whether you prefer a sword-swinging Geralt or a magic-casting one, the game gives you enough freedom to develop different strategies. There is always that what-if question in your mind. What if I leveled up a different skill tree? What if I approached that boss fight in a completely new way? This element of curiosity keeps you hooked. But not all games do this well. Think about Assassin's Creed's early games, like Black Flag. They gave you a lot of ways to approach missions, stealth, full combat, or ranged attacks. But some of the later titles, despite their improvements in storytelling, became more linear in approach. The playstyle variety was there, but it didn't evolve as much as you would hope throughout the game. So you end up playing the same way and eventually the magic fades out. Now, let's talk about something a bit more complex. Emergent gameplay. This is when the systems in the game interact with each other in ways the developers didn't necessarily script or plan. Minecraft is the ultimate example of this. The game's basic systems like building, crafting, and resource gathering combine in unexpected ways, leading to endless possibilities. Players can use redstone to create complex machines, build elaborate structures, or even simulate entire computer systems. It's why people are still playing Minecraft after more than a decade. You are not just replaying the game, you are recreating it each time. The opposite can be said for a game like No Man's Sky. While it features a massive procedurally generated universe with literally billions of planets to explore, its system initially felt more rigid and predetermined. Early on, players quickly realized that despite the variety in environments and features, the core gameplay loop remained somewhat repetitive. Gather resources, upgrade your ship, and explore more planets. The interactions between systems didn't offer the same depth of emergent possibilities. Many of the mechanics, while vast in scale, were initially more scripted, limiting the potential for spontaneous and unpredictable interactions. The game lacked the deep sandbox feel where systems could interact in unexpected ways. This led to some criticism during its release for feeling somewhat hollow, as the freedom to truly create worlds were missing. However, in recent years, No Man's Sky has evolved significantly with major updates. It now includes features like base building, multiplayer, and more complex systems. Now let's pause for a second and ask a question. How many games have you played where your choices felt like they actually mattered? A game series like Mass Effect is a perfect example of how meaningful choices can make you want to go back and see what happens if you make a different decision. Depending on the choices you make, you could play an entirely different version of the game. In Mass Effect, your decisions shape not only the relationships you have with other characters, but also the entire story's direction. Who lives, who dies, which factions you side with, it all changes the narrative and the emotional weight of the experience. The branching storyline and multiple endings gives the game massive replay value, as players are motivated to revisit key moments, and explore the consequences of different paths. These games make you feel like you are in control of the narrative, shaping it with every dialogue, choice, or mission outcome. When you finish the game, there is always that itch. What if I chose the renegade path instead of the paragon?
I'm the only sane one left.
I gave him an extra dose of his meds after the attack. Say goodnight, Manuel.
You cannot silence the truth. My voice must be heard.
That's replayability gold. Compare that to a game like Telltale's The Walking Dead. While it also offers choices that affect the story and character relationships, the impact of these choices often feels more linear compared to Mass Effect. The choices in The Walking Dead may shape certain character interactions or alter specific events, but the overall trajectory of the story tends to follow a more fixed path. This can limit the replay value, as the core narrative remains largely the same despite different choices, making it less likely for players to revisit the game to see alternate outcomes. Another crucial element of replayability is randomness, or procedural generation. While this feature can be a double-edged sword, if done correctly, it can significantly boost a game's replay value. The unpredictability of each playthrough keeps players engaged, but if not well executed, it can lead to frustrations or a sense of meaningless repetition. A perfect genre that utilizes these features are roguelikes and roguelites. Think of Hades or The Binding of Isaac. Every time you play, the levels are different, the enemies are different, and even the power-ups are different. You are always adapting to the new circumstances while gaining experience from the past runs, which makes replaying the game exciting. In these games, you never quite know what to expect. One run might give you the perfect combination of weapons and upgrades, making you feel unstoppable, while the next might throw tougher enemies at you with powerful gear, forcing you to adapt on the fly. This constant shifting of circumstances keeps players on their toes, making every playthrough feels like a new challenge. One of the most obvious factors, yet often underrated, is mods. Mods are the secret sauce that turns a game from a one-time experience to an endless adventure. Take Minecraft for example. Sure, the base game is incredible, but it's the mods that really give it legs. With mods, players can extend, modify, and transform the game in ways the original developer might never have imagined. From adding new biomes and creatures to completely overhauling the gameplay mechanics, mods unlock a world of creativity and experimentation. You are not just replaying the same game, you are playing a completely different version of it. And it's not just new games that benefit from mods. Take Doom for example, a game that's been around since 1993, still has an active modding community today. People are creating new levels, new enemies, and even entire campaigns. Mods have kept Doom alive for decades, showing how powerful player-driven content can be. What about achievements and collectibles? Well, when done right, these can add so much to a game's replayability. Let's be real, how many of us spent hours chasing that one elusive trophy or collectible item? Games like Hollow Knight or Celeste do achievements perfectly. The challenge itself is rewarding, and the sense of accomplishment when you finally beat that boss or complete that time trial is what makes you come back for more. Achievements and collectibles give players an extra layer of goals to strive for beyond just completing the main story. But it's not just about filling up a checklist. A well-designed achievement system pushes players to explore every corner of the game, test their skills, and sometimes even force players to play in ways they wouldn't have considered otherwise. For example, in Celeste, some achievements are tied to difficult challenges like completing levels without dying or collecting all hidden strawberries. These achievements offer meaningful, skill-based rewards that deepen the player's connection to the game. Contrast that with games where collectibles feel tagged on. If it's just a pointless scavenger hunt, it won't add much replayability. It's all about making the player feel like their effort matters. And of course, we can't talk about replayability without mentioning multiplayer games. Games like Call of Duty, Valorant, and Fortnite are prime examples of how constant updates and social aspects keep players engaged. Every match feels different. You are always improving your skills, adapting to new strategies, and dealing with unexpected scenarios. That's why even after years, these games still have huge player bases. But it's not always about skill and competition. Take Among Us for example. The game was super simple, but the fun came from the social dynamics with friends. The same goes for Lethal Company, where the unpredictable interactions with your buddies create endless possibilities. Sometimes it's not even about the game itself, it's about who you are playing with. Now, let's talk about massive, detailed worlds. Some games are replayable simply because there is so much to discover that you can't see it all in one playthrough. These games offer a level of depth that makes exploration feels rewarding. In Red Dead Redemption 2, you might come across a secluded cabin with a story of its own, or an interaction with a stranger that leads you to unexpected quests. The Witcher 3 is filled with morally complex side quests that can easily be missed out, but add layers of richness to the game's world and characters. Meanwhile, games like Elden Ring hides entire zones, bosses, and lore behind its vast open world, begging players to explore every inch to uncover the mysteries it holds. What makes these worlds so engaging is how alive they feel. NPCs goes about their daily lives, the environment changes dynamically, and there's always something new to discover. You are not just replaying for the sake of replaying. You are diving deeper into a world that feels real, with stories that unfold in unexpected ways. But not every game needs to be infinitely replayable, and that's totally fine. Some games are designed to give you a one-time, unforgettable experience. Story-driven games like The Last of Us, or puzzle games like Portal, deliver something unique, an experience that stays with you long after you finish playing. These games specialize in crafting memorable moments, immersive narratives, or mind-bending puzzles that leaves a lasting impact. In Last of Us, it's the emotional depth and the journey of its characters that resonates with players, making it a powerful experience even if you don't replay it. Similarly, puzzle games like Portal offer a deep sense of satisfaction upon solving intricate challenges, with each puzzle providing a unique sense of accomplishment. Since these games depend heavily on your knowledge of the story or the solution to the puzzle, replaying them might not offer the same sense of discovery. Once you know the plot twists in The Last of Us or have solved all the puzzles in Portal, the experience changes. However, this doesn't diminish their value. The emotional and intellectual impact of these games remains significant. You might not play them again, but that doesn't make them any less great. Sometimes it's the journey, not the replay value that counts. Replayability isn't a one-size-fits-all concept. What works for one game might not work for another. The key is to find what makes sense to your game's design, whether it's mods, randomness, or just a really solid story that pulls you back in for another go. The games that keep us coming back are the ones that get it right. If you reached this far, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next one.